Hi guys. Hey. Hello. Morning.
Coming up, we share our experience in Malta, where we explored Mdina, the three ancient cities, the capital Valetta, as well as the resort spots of Sliema and St Julian's. There's boat trips, sunsets, ancient sites, beautiful architecture, and lots of eateries to come. We hope you enjoy coming along with us. So quick look around the hotel room while we haven't messed it up. We've just landed to the hotel. So this is the Courtyard by Marriott in Sliema. That's where we're staying. So we got a bathroom. It's pretty small, but it's nice. And probably the same for the room as well. Pretty small, but it's nice. And we got big TV, really nice aesthetic room to be fair, and they even set us up with a little decoration on the bed, which is a really nice touch. So yeah, this is the room. We have a balcony as well, although I can't say that there's much of a view. I think we're looking like straight into somebody's house, I think. But again, yeah, it's nice to have a balcony, I guess. But yeah, this is Courtyard by Marriott in Sliema, and this is our room. So after the room tour, we took a quick walk around the corner to a lovely cafe called Word of Mouth, where we were able to get some really good food, some really good coffee. So highly recommend if you are in the area of Sliema. Word of Mouth is a great place to stop. We then got changed and made our way along the coast to St Julian's for dinner. This was a really nice walk along the coast. The restaurant that brought us to St Julian's was a traditional Maltese restaurant called Gululu. We had a beautiful meal right by the water. Every night is gelato night. Every night is gelato night. So first stop is Hagar Kim. I think that's how you pronounce it. So this is first stop on our day of exploring the south of Malta. We started off in the visitor centre where we bought a combo ticket, more on that later, and then we went to the museum where we learned about the history of the temples and the times they were built during before making our way down to the temples themselves. On the southern cliffs of Malta where the sea meets stone lie two of the world's oldest freestanding structures, Hagar and Mnajdra. Hagar, built over 5,000 years ago, was our first stop. These stones have seen more sunsets than any other temple on earth. They're carved from limestone and the megaliths still hold their secrets. A short walk downhill lies Mnajdra, another ancient sanctuary precisely aligned with the movements of the sun. On the spring and autumn equinoxes, sunlight streams through the main doorway, illuminating the central axis of the temple, marking the exact balance between day and night. On the summer solstice, the sun rises just to the left of the doorway, casting light on one side of the interior, and on the winter solstice, it shifts to the right. These alignments weren't accidental, they were engineered with a purpose. These places weren't just temples, they were calendars, altars, and sacred spaces carved into the stone. We gotta walk a little bit to where we're going. It's not too far. There's the temple there. We are currently walking here because I think there's a grave here of, I don't think it's an actual grave because I believe his body was buried at sea, but I think it was a World War I hero from Malta. We read about it in the museum, but he held a high standing. I can't remember what that standing was, but he died in World War I. So we are currently headed to see this. So just a little bit on the heat in Malta. What time is it, Louise? 36 and it is hot. Very hot.
Yeah.
Does not help that we've just walked up that big ass hill. But it is hot here. So that's the second temple done. And you probably can't hear what I'm saying, to be fair, because of the wind, but I think that's the only thing saving us right now from the heat. That's the second temple done, so we're gonna head back to the car. Maybe a quick stop at a souvenir shop, little souvenir, and then go to our next spot. So with our visit to the temples, we decided to buy the prehistoric ticket to multiple sites. So I'm not going to try and pronounce the site because we've been absolutely butchering the names of all of the previous places we've been to, but we're at another prehistoric site now. I'll probably just link it in the video. But yeah, this dates back to Neolithic periods and the Bronze Age as well. So yeah, very similar to the previous temples, but it's just a different site.
This is Ghar Dalam, one of Malta's most important prehistoric sites. This ancient cave goes back over 500,000 years, and it's where archaeologists discovered fossilised remains of animals that once roamed the island, such as dwarf elephants, giant swans and hippos. As you walk deeper into the cave, the layers of rock tell a story, from Ice Age creatures to the first humans who settled here over 7,000 years ago.
We're at our final stop on the prehistoric ticket. One final Neolithic site. Looks very similar to the last one. Am I right, Louise?
Yeah.
But still cool to see. It looks very similar to the last one. But yeah, cool to see. Our next stop of the day was the seaside town of Maraschlokk, known for its picturesque views of the sea, traditional boats lined across the harbour, and its slow-paced, laid-back vibe. We spent a few hours here, just strolling around and exploring what it had to offer. So, this is the lobster tagliatelle, which looks incredible. The food here looks amazing. Louise, what do we got?
Mozzarella ravioli.
Wow. Yeah. Incredible. So I'm going to keep this really short because it's so windy out here. We don't even know if we'll be able to use the audio, but we drove about 45 minutes from Sliema to
Dingili Cliffs.
Dingili Cliffs. Maybe Dingili Cliffs, we don't know. We heard it was the most beautiful sunset on the island, and we have not been disappointed whatsoever. Don't know whose bright idea it was to book this boat trip for so early. It was actually my idea. I was so tired. But we're going on a boat trip. We travelled to the far north of the island to jump on a boat trip that we had booked with Outdoor Explorers. And I'll shoot the link into the video below. We were picked up at the pier, and it was time for the two of us to explore Malta by sea, along with our captain, Jimmy. we've just finished our boat trip, and yeah, that was fantastic. We had a great time. We went, where did we go? We went to Blue Lagoon, we did Camino. Our skipper Jimmy, I'll try and link I think we'll link the company that we used in the description. He was absolutely fantastic. Yep. He knew all the spots to go. The sea had quite a swell, so the tours, we didn't know this, but the tours were actually cancelled yesterday because of the swell. Just high winds really. So sea was still fairly choppy. There's still a fairly decent swell out there, but he knew all the places to go. We did a lot of swimming, a lot of snorkeling in some beautiful water. We did some sunbathing, had a couple of drinks, and yeah, it was fantastic. It was a really good couple of hours. Now we have the trip to make back, because we're right at the north of the island right now, so we have the trip to make from the north of the island back down to Sliema. We have a couple of hours to kill, and then we are headed to Mdina then this afternoon for some wine tasting, which is going to be really interesting. But boat trip done, worth the early start. Yep. Great couple of hours, and yeah, we had a great time. So with Louise lying by the pool right now, it's a good opportunity for me to show you guys the gym here at the Courtyard by Marriott Sliema. Pretty basic, to be honest. Everything's really new, very clean, because obviously it's a relatively new hotel. It's all techno gym, so rollers, med balls, cardio. I will be on that treadmill very soon. We got rower, bike, and over here we have cable attachments, which are pretty handy. And then we have dumbbells. They do only go up to 22 kilo, and nothing really heavier than that. There's no Smith machine, there isn't a barbell, there's no rack, and obviously you've got your lockers, towels, water, and amenities. So yeah, it's all in all, it's not bad. It will do the job. Weight's maybe not heavy enough for those who want to take their training super serious, but it does have everything that you need to get a pretty decent workout done. For our next stop, it was time to ditch the car and hop in an Uber, because we were going wine tasting. We got off to a strong start, as we were greeted not just by vineyard views, but also by a few friendly four-legged locals who clearly knew how to welcome the guests. Welcome to Valetta, a boutique winery tucked away in the Maltese countryside. Our host for the day was Francesca. She was deeply knowledgeable and passionate. She'd travelled to London multiple times to study wine, and it showed in the way she explained everything. She educated us on the entire winemaking process here at Valetta, and also gave us a lot of the background history of this boutique winery. She gave us the perfect blend of education and fun. So shout out Francesca, you were an amazing host. Valetta is a passion project of a married couple who fell in love with winemaking and turned it into something really special. It's entirely family run, and you can feel that everywhere, from the carefully tended vines to the stories behind each wine bottle. One of our favourite things that we learned personally was that every Sunday one of the founders cooks a meal for the entire staff. It doesn't get more personal than that. After the tour, it was time for the wine tasting itself, and wow, what a spread they had put on for us. Alongside the incredible spread of food, we were able to try 3 wines, 1 white and 2 reds, each of which had their own personal story. I myself personally must admit, as someone who does not normally drink, that I am definitely glad we left the car at home. If you are visiting Malta, we could not recommend this tour enough. Even if you're not a wine connoisseur, you will still love it. We took the short taxi ride to Rabat, where we had a quick stroll and also stumbled upon the St Pauls Catacombs. They're a little off the beaten track, but it was worth the visit. These underground tombs date back to Roman times. You can walk through the passageways and the chambers, but beware, it is not for the claustrophobic. It's very dark and it's a little spooky, but it is fascinating. The scale of it is massive and you really get a sense of how deep Malta's history runs, quite literally underground.
We spent our evening in the ancient city of Mdina, also known as Malta's Silent City. It was once Malta's capital and it feels frozen in time. There are no cars and hundreds of medieval streets to get lost in. We had dinner in the Mdina and spent our night wandering and exploring.
So let's talk about a few things that we had heard about Malta that had concerned us a little bit before our trip. Firstly, construction on the island. Yes, there is a fair amount of construction in the likes of Sliema and St Julian's, but with Malta becoming much more known to tourists, that's expected. It didn't ruin our trip, but I can imagine it would be a lot more disruptive if it was right at your hotel. Now, let's talk tourists. The images you're seeing now is from Paceville. That's a small area in St Julian's. It's busy and it's touristy. If you don't want that, stay away from here. We were quite worried prior to our trip because we'd heard from a lot of people that Malta was becoming very touristy. To be honest, from our experience, it was just a very small part of St Julian's. If you do want a party though, you'll find it here.
We have to talk about a few of the best restaurants we ate in during our trip. Firstly, Chophouse. Beautiful views accompanied with superb food. We highly recommend if you're a steak lover. And secondly, to Chris. This was a traditional Maltese restaurant with a real homey feel. Be warned, the portions are huge, but the food was beautiful.
The next morning, we jumped onto the ferry from Sliema to Valetta, where we would get another boat to the three cities. We've just got to Valetta, and apparently to get the ferry to the three cities is a 28-minute walk. So we've got a decent walk through Valetta to get to the ferry to head to the three cities. We had a mini tour of Valetta where we got a brief introduction into its amazing architecture, more on that later, before arriving at the port to get the ferry to the first of the three cities, of which we are still not sure how to pronounce it, but we'll give it a go, Cospicua. So we have just arrived in the first of the three cities. So that's the plan for today. We're exploring the three cities. So we've got Birgu, Sengleia, and the one we're currently in now, which I'm not comfortable in pronouncing.
Begins with a C.
It starts with a C. We'll probably link the pronunciation somewhere in this video once we find out, but we're not too confident on how to pronounce it right now. But we've just arrived. So we got the ferry from Sliema to Valetta, and then we had a 30-minute walk from Valetta to the ferry port to get to here. So the plan for today is explore everything that the three cities have to offer, the history, the architecture. Last night we were in St Julian's for our dinner. It was interesting. we were up around Paceville or Paceville, as I've heard a couple of the locals pronounce it. I'm not sure whether that's just a local thing or not, but it was
interesting.
It was interesting. Yeah, so that's like the party part of the island.
Strip.
Yeah, it's like the
where
strip.
all the clubs are, and the bars, and
a little bit seedy.
we're definitely in the nicer part of Sliema. But the plan for today is 3 cities. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of cool stuff done, and hopefully we'll be able to document it as well as possible.
The 3 cities of Vittoriosa, Singlia and Cospacua sit just across the harbour from Valetta, and they offer a more quiet and laid-back side of Malta. History feels very close here, from the Knights of St John to the scars of World War II, and we love just walking around, taking it all in. We walked across to Vittoriosa, and it was here that we decided to visit the Malta At War Museum. Malta was one of the most heavily bombed places on earth, and this museum shows how ordinary people survived underground during those terrifying years. From old uniforms and ration kits to an original wartime shelter that we actually walked through, it's emotional, intense and incredibly well put together. Our guide, Umberto, was also a lecturer, and he was absolutely fantastic throughout the entirety of our tour. He was so knowledgeable and definitely gave us a tour that we will always remember. Things took a bit of a turn for us when we realised the ticket we had spent €100 on, that included 8 or 9 historical sites across the 3 cities in Valetta, was rendered pretty much useless after realising most of the attractions were closed on Sundays and we went home on the Monday morning. So we had to cut our 3 cities tour short and head to Valetta.
We managed to get back in time to catch the cannon firing at the Saluting Battery, an artillery platform built by the Knights of St John back in the 16th century. The cannons were often fired to greet arriving ships and mark special occasions, and today the tradition lives on with daily cannon firing, except for Sundays.
Evening gun, fire!
We also managed to visit the Lascaris War Rooms that are hidden beneath Valetta. These war rooms are a real-life secret bunker, and they were once the nerve centre for Allied operations during World War II. This is where they coordinated the defence of Malta and even planned the invasion of Sicily. Walking through the underground rooms, we saw original maps, equipment and communication gear. It really was like stepping inside a military time capsule. After a long day of exploring Malta's unique history, we had a walk through Valetta, grabbed a coffee in this vibey spot, and headed back to St Julian's for dinner at Sale e Pepe. And just look at that pumpkin gnocchi.
We want to take a quick moment to comment on our hotel, the Courtyard by Marriott in Sliema. This hotel is only recently opened and we really enjoyed our stay here. It's a family-friendly hotel but also quiet, with modern facilities and a great location.
Final night in Malta, and we are in Valetta. Again, we were actually in Valetta yesterday. Yesterday we did the 3 cities, and we didn't intend on doing Valetta yesterday. Our plan was to do Valetta all day today, but we purchased a multi-museum ticket, sort of combo ticket for museums and historical sites in and around the 3 cities and Valetta, and then quickly realised that most of those places would be closed today because today is a Sunday. So we ended up speed seeing the 3 cities and coming across then to Valetta last night, which we didn't regret at all. This is a beautiful, beautiful place. But then we have a dinner reservation, so we are in the capital again tonight. Again, like I said, last night in Malta, and Malta has really impressed us, right?
Yeah, it's been absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
We've loved every minute and we definitely come back.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful place. So much to see. History-wise, really interesting place to be, and then the weather and the architecture and everything. It really is beautiful. The people have been very friendly.
Yeah.
Touristy in areas, absolutely. But to be fair, where our hotel was, it's in a nice part of Sliema, to be honest with you. It's quite quiet. So, as we said, yeah, we would definitely come back. Hopefully, by the time we've put this vlog together, it'll make some kind of sense, and everyone watching will have had a chance to see
at least a little bit into what our week was like. It is our first vlog, so be kind to us. We have been doing our best. I'm sure we'll get better as we go, but hopefully everyone that has watched the video has a little bit of an insight into what Malta has to offer, how we found it. Again, the style of trip that we do isn't for everybody. Like today, we just lay by the pool. It was fantastic, and it is also very, very hot here, so be careful with that if you do come in July. But hopefully everybody watching has really enjoyed our first vlog, and for now we're going to go into Valetta, towards the city centre, walk around the streets, immerse ourselves in the culture, and then head for dinner in a beautiful restaurant this evening. So for us, we will check out here, and yeah, we're gonna follow this up with some images from our Sunday evening in Valetta.
Our final meal in Malta was something really special. This is Rampila, a unique restaurant nestled within the historic bastions of Valetta. You could eat in the tunnel vaults, once a part of the city's defensive structures, now transformed into a restaurant and wine bar. We decided to eat at the terrace, overlooking the city gate. The video probably doesn't do justice to just how beautiful that it was to eat here. We had an amazing table. The staff were also exceptional, and we just had to hope that the food lived up to everything else, and thankfully it did.
That's everything from our trip to Malta. We hope you've enjoyed watching, and we hope to have inspired your next trip. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe to our new channel, where we plan to continue posting videos like this one. Until next time!